Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what exactly happens in the mind when this kind of spiritual or divine experience happens. So here the analogy, following analogy can be useful. And again, before going into this, I'd like to say that um, it's better to be a sincere follower of the Sanatana Dharma and just engage in the practices that are prescribed even without this Anubhava, rather than a misguided experience, because that actually does not benefit either oneself or those around one. So either it is good to have adequate preparation and embark on this, or believe me, it is far more productive and worthy of respect is someone who faithfully follows the Sanatana Dharma, even be there absence of these kind of transformative anubhavas. But nevertheless, since the desire is there, let's talk about what happens. So think of the mind as maybe an aquarium tank. Okay, it has a glass bottom, and maybe there is some pebbles and sand at the bottom, and then there is water above it. So usually in the waking state, our mind is so agitated that there are a lot of waves on the top of this tank, and that um, increases the turbidity. So it brings up the mud, and we are not able to see things as they are. Um, through meditation, as the mind is made calmer and calmer, much of this mud and silt settles, and now one can begin to try to see through the bottom of the tank more clearly, because there is a blazing light on the other side. And yet it is the same light that enables us to see through the mind too. Now, this business of Kundalini yoga or Tantra, what it involves is that usually the Apana vayu and the Prana vayu have their respective locations. Apana is located in the lower part, and Prana is above. But there is a procedure called Viparita Karani, which means an upside down Karani. And through this, what is done is Apana is taken above and Prana goes below. And when this is done, because the Prana and the mind are so intimately related, what this does is it turns that aquarium upside down. Now, on the top part of the aquarium is our Buddhi, the discriminating part of our mind. Um, and so when we turn this aquarium upside down, now all the pressure lands on the Buddhi, you may say, of the water. Um, and if the Buddhi is not strong enough, then one can have a disintegration of the person in a most unfortunate and undesirable way, both for themselves and for society. And it can also give a bad name to the practice. Um, that is why it should be embarked on with great preparation. I wouldn't even say caution, but preparation. Um, now, when it is successful, um, and now the mind, let us say it comes back into the world, what happens is that one is able to see through that bottom. Now, the pebbles and other things that are there are of various types. There are vritis in the mind, in the Yoga Sutra terminology. And some of these are like sphatika crystals. They are beautifully clear. So they we may call aklishta vritis. And there are some that are klishta. So these are, you may say, dark, obscuring, opaque. The beauty of the experience is that after that, life automatically clears out those klishta vrittis, and the vision is now guaranteed to be permanent in time. So that is exactly the nature of this experience, how the mind and the prana interplay in this anubhava. And so it's important to know that. And again, do note that although the practice of pranayama and the awakening of Kundalini Shakti can be done through these practices, and it does happen. What the texts say are not wrong, but the procedure is fairly dramatic. I would liken it to connecting, say, a 125,000 volt line to the base of your spine. Um, and depending on how pure the mind is and what is in it, it will merely amplify all those. So if a person has a lot of fears, then people talk about these bad trips in after taking LSD or ayahuasca, and the reason is the mind has not been purified. So first through Shraddha and Bhakti and through the recommended karmas and kriyas, if one purifies the mind, then that experience is joyous, and still transformative. It is still awesome, but it also then opens the door to the library of infinite wisdom, as Swami Ram describes it. And that is when true Gyan descends. And so um, that access of that library is intuitive. It is not through the senses. And in the Yoga Sutra, it is called Dharma Megha Samadhi. Um, it is translated as a rain cloud of virtues, but really it is, you might think, a torrential download of all the spiritual truths um, in a manner that's truly beyond one's control. Um, one realizes that the mind does not control this. Uh, this is being bestowed by the grace of something far more powerful and far more ancient than is within the ken of the mind. So, namaste.